What's up, everybody, and welcome in to another edition of the Sit Down. As always, if you enjoy this video, please make sure you hit that like button and let me know what you think of today's interesting interview in the comment section below. If you're new around here, you just haven't done it yet, or you're seeing this video for the first time, I don't know what you're waiting for. Hit that subscribe button below now so you never miss another sit down video. If you're listening to us currently on Spotify or iTunes, welcome in. Make sure you leave us a review and a 5-star rating. What's up, everybody? We are back. This is episode 159, and I am your host, Jeff Nadu. As always, make sure you check out our signature sit-down cigar, available now. The link to buy is in the pinned comment of this video. We are back with another episode, and I got a great one planned for you today. Since I started this channel, my goal is to interview interesting people from the world of the mob and organized crime. We've been able to bring you people that no one has ever heard from before. Guys like Dom Sakali, Louis Casman, John Gleason, all sorts of people associated with the world of both in the mob and prosecuting the mob. Today, we are going to do that yet again. And I have to say, this one is a little different because unlike all of those, you folks will not be seeing this individual. You'll just be hearing him. But we'll talk about why that is and more. We're going to get his story. He's a guy who was around the life really as recent as 10 years ago, even 6-7 years ago. He's had a very wild life in and around the Bonanno Crime Family. We'll welcome him on now. His name is Peter Lovaglio. Peter, how are you?
How are you, Jeff?
It's good to see you. You and I have been talking for a while. At least I'm seeing you. It's good to hear from you. You and I have been talking for a while, and I have to say, Peter, and right out of the gate, you were not real interested in speaking to me. You like to speak to me, but you probably asked me 25 times, are you writing down what I'm telling you? Are you recording me? You definitely still someone that wants to be secret. You don't really want to talk. You're not in this for money. You're not in this for any of that. You have a lot going on in your life. Why do you want to speak to me? Why did you end up wanting to speak to me?
I like your platform. And there's a lot of misconceptions on my story. So,
Yeah, and I think you're right. I think a lot of people have probably heard your name. I mean, we have a lot of people in this world that know this world in and out, kind of like myself. But I want to start at the beginning with you. Obviously, we don't have 15, 20, 30 hours to talk, so we'll just maybe speak again, but I want to kind of get it out at the beginning here. You're one of the few people I've ever spoke to or seen that you never really wanted to get into this world. Like, you weren't connected to it. You were born in 1961. You're from Brooklyn. At your early teens, you moved to Staten Island like a lot of Italian people do. I guess I'll ask, like, what was your family like? What was your upbringing like?
Well, I got 4 sisters and a brother. Normal upbringing, small apartment in Brooklyn, all that good stuff. My mom died really young. And I had a stepfather that was a little different with me. But my goal in life was to become an attorney. That was always my goal. But, the path changed that. My path changed that.
So you wanted to have a good life. You wanted to be an attorney, a lawyer. You wanted to kind of take yourself, because at that time, you had probably seen a lot of people became criminals. They went the wrong way in life, but you didn't want that for your life. You also at one point joined the service. You joined the armed forces, and you wanted to take that good trajectory in life.
Yeah, I certainly did. I certainly did. That was absolutely my goal as a kid. I excelled in sports. I was pretty a little smart, somewhat book smart, not extremely. But no, my goal was never to be in the mob. My father was like a half-ass bookmaker. But my goal certainly wasn't to be affiliated with the Mafia.
So how do you go from joining the service to you'd eventually become a skipper in the mob? How does that happen?
Jeff, that's convoluted, and we don't have enough time to even discuss all of that, but I'll give you a brief synopsis. When I was in the military, my mom died. So when I came home, there was some troubles in the household, and I had to make some money to to take care of some stuff, and that's life. That path brought me to where I am today.
So you started getting involved in criminality.
100%. I started dealing drugs when I was a kid. Yeah.
What were you selling?
Cocaine, and I went away for that. I did some time for that.
Yeah, I mean that'll do it, but it's a good way to make money quick. The only problem is you can get caught. You know.
I got caught. And
yeah,
I did a little time for that, and that there went the lawyer aspect of my goal in life.
That was over for you. So you decide, hey, you know, everybody else is doing dirt, so I'll just start doing dirt too. You're
not even necessarily that way. I started working as a laborer. I started working in as a union laborer when I got out of prison when I was a kid. And what happened was they put me to collect money for people that weren't paying the union dues. Not physically, just to go around, you know.
You were just asking for it. Right?
Yeah, and I bounced onto a company that was doing asbestos removal. I became their partners. We became very, very successful. And from there, I got introduced to the life of the Mafia.
What was the first, do you remember the first kind of run-in with someone in that world?
Yeah.
Who was it?
Yeah, it was Frankie Capo, my sister's father-in-law.
So you were related in a way through kind of marriage or blood to Frank.
Yeah.
And he was a high-ranking member of the Messino group, right?
Yeah.
He was making moves. He was connected with Joey. What was he like?
I mean, nice guy, very smart. Very, very, very smart. You know, but he's a monster, you know, but he was a very smart man, very successful. And as you know, he eventually cooperated also.
Right. Down the road, he would. Absolutely. What were some of the first things you were doing as far as the life's concerned? What crimes were you committing?
Well, I started with labor, you know, not hiring union labor. So to do that, you got to pay somebody. To do that, you have to somebody to pay somebody. And that's how I got my foot. Well, that's how my foot got in the door, not that I got my foot in the door.
So you were in like the labor racketeering aspect. You weren't doing the, you know, the kind of street rackets like
No.
Did you ever do that?
I was never a loan shark or any of that shit. I was
okay.
So
you were going for big money with unions and things like that. And what's interesting is even down the road in 2013, your name popped up in. I was doing some work on the carding industry at the time, and your name popped up. You had a relationship with a certain person. I'm not going to mention him. He's not a street guy, but he was looking into getting something. He was investigating, and your name popped up as a connection to him, which may preclude him from certain certification and things like that. So you were always involved. Were you involved in the carding industry as well?
When I came home from this bid, I got involved in some fashion the carding industry. Because of course I can't get involved directly because of the BIC, which is the business integrity. They would never let me own trucks.
Right.
Well, I became a quasi broker, for the lack of better words, getting work for some other trucking firms, and from that, I became sort of like an advisor /
yeah. You were definitely around. Obviously, you mentioned unions, you mentioned carding. So you're moving around Frank Capo. What kind of money are you making? Are you making good money?
Well, I wasn't making money around Frank Capo. I was just on record with him.
You were just on record.
I was doing my own thing. I was making money in the asbestos removal business, and I built that up on my own. And not the only time I used the mob for that was for union work, you know.
Okay.
Other than that, I did that on my own. I didn't use the Mafia to.
Now, did you have, before you got connected with the lake, did you have friends that were in that world? Did you know anyone?
Yeah, we all grew up with friends in that world. I mean, if you're Italian in Brooklyn, Sitdown, you're going to know somebody in that world, you know?
Sure.
You know, of course, you know, it goes without saying.
So eventually all the stuff goes down. But you know, in the 90s, you would kind of move to the Camerano group. Were you friends with Joe Jr.?
I became very good friends with Joe, yeah. We met.
Did you know his father too?
I did, yeah. He's the one that proposed me. Yeah.
Okay. What kind of guys were they? Because they've always had, we've heard a lot about, they're respected, very respected people.
Joe Camerano was probably the best guy I ever met in my life.
The son.
Yeah. And the father. The father was a great guy, very quiet. You know, he had his own little ways, quirky ways. But yeah, the son was one of the best guys I ever met.
So you were, again, you weren't a real violent guy at the time. You were just making money, asbestos removal, union stuff. At that point, do you say to yourself, okay, like I'm happy where I am. I'm making money. I really don't need, I don't need to be a mobster. I don't need to be a made man. Did you want that eventually though?
Later on down the line, when I got into the Wall Street aspect of this criminality you're talking about, I always had Joe to protect me, but I thought, you know what? I should insulate myself a little better here. And I didn't ask for it. Of course, he asked me, and I agreed.
So you did it to kind of have that kind of protection above you. Hey, don't fuck with me. I have these guys around me. And they were respected people. They're elder statesmen, if you will. So that makes sense. So you had the money. Let me ask you, you never, because I was related to my own dad, right? Like my dad was in construction. I couldn't imagine someone coming to my dad and saying, hey, you're going to pay us 20%. Did that bother you to give people money?
Listen, that's such a bad concept people have. Stop watching so much TV is what I tell people. It's not how it works. It's not how it is. Listen, the only time somebody gets involved with anybody that's in the mob is because you came to them for help.
Okay.
It's not like you're knocking on the guy's door like your black hand back in the fucking 1800s. Right. Your hand on the door. You're going to pay me now or I'm going to break your legs. It doesn't happen that way.
You had no issue giving them because they provided a service to you in a way. And
we're talking about the people I was around.
Yeah, like
at that point we were doing things together. So yeah, of course not. They're going to get a piece of whatever I'm doing because we're doing it together, not because I'm afraid to not do it because they're going to threaten me if I don't pay them. That just doesn't work that way.
Right. I understand.
This fantasy that people have about this life it amazes me at times.
Yeah. No, I know you've mentioned that to me. There's definitely a lot of, I think, of questionable things we hear. There's a lot of misinformation here on YouTube. You guys that come on here.
There's a lot of phonies on this YouTube stuff.
Well, yeah, I'll ask you about that later.
You're not one of them, but there's a lot of fucking phonies on this.
Well, we'll have to. We could start a little trouble there mentioning other people. But hey, listen, we'll definitely have to do it at some point.
Yeah, have you read my record, Jeff?
Yeah, I have. So in the late 90s, you became a made member. You became a member with John Spirito. He was in your ceremony. Tell me about your ceremony. Tell me about that day. Was it something you would expect to happen? Did you know it was coming?
Oh, yeah. You don't get proposed. They put your name in. And you just wait for it to happen. You don't know the exact day, but
So, yeah, all right. So you get a call and they say, hey, we're going to pick you up, dress night. Like, how does that work?
Again, that's TV.
A film, yeah, TV.
Yeah, no, it's just listen. You pretty much know. I mean, you're not supposed to know, but you know. I mean, they ask you, what you hear, you say no. But
Were you excited?
Oh, I was scared shit.
Were you?
Yeah, I was nervous.
Who presided over your ceremony?
Joe Messina and Sal Vitale.
Wow. How are they?
Joe was very smart.
Yeah.
Sal, I really didn't care for.
Yeah. Do you like Joe?
Yeah.
Did you like Spirito? He was from a way different area than you.
Loved him a lot. I really, really liked him. Really respected the guy, yeah.
His son, though.
Yeah.
A little different.
We'll
get into him.
That's a love story.
So, like, once you become a guy, right, what do you do after? Do you party or do you go home or what do you do?
It was midnight. I went home.
Do you...
I got yelled at by my wife for being in late.
Do you tell your wife, like, hey, I just became... Did you tell anyone?
You're not supposed to, but yes, some people know.
Interesting. And by the way, if anyone curious, I know they won't see Peter, but it's lunchtime. Peter's having a little snack here.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. It's funny. I love the fact that we're just hanging out. Like, that's how I want to.
Sorry about that. You can hear me eating. I'm sorry.
No, I can't hear you. I just wanted to make sure people knew if they did. I don't want them to think you're doing stuff. But
I apologize.
So, yeah, you come across really nondescript to me, Peter. Like, it didn't impress you, right? It was just something that you were involved with, and that was that.
Yeah, the mob didn't impress me at all because I didn't know about it. So what was I going to be impressed about? Other than like everybody else, what you watch on TV, of course, it's glorified and all that crap. But when you really live it, trust me, Jeff, it's not glorified.
Yeah.
What I've learned, as we've discussed, is although I made great relationships in it, I'll say that, and I made some very dear friends. I don't know if they're friends of mine anymore, but for the most part, it's a greedy, deceitful, really not a good life.
You mentioned TV and stuff. The year you were made was the same year that The Sopranos came out.
Well, I don't know. I just watched The Sopranos for the first time.
What'd you think of it?
It was funny.
Did it have any?
Oh yeah.
So you kind of felt like, because there's a scene in the show where Christopher gets made, right? And he gets the call and he has he's told to dress nice, Was there similarities you found in the show to?
Yeah, not that. Not in my experience. I wasn't that whole Christopher thing, but yeah, there was definitely similarities, without a doubt. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
You mentioned stocks. You ultimately went to federal prison due to a stock scam. What was that? Were you someone that dabbled in stocks? What made you get into that racket?
Crazy story. So a friend of mine had a son that was in this. I guess he got caught up into a chop shop, is what they called it, pump and dump.
Boiler room.
Yeah, which I had no idea what the hell it was. So he came to me. He was a very legitimate guy that I grew up with. I'm not going to mention his name. Very dear friend of mine. And he says, my son is owed 80. I said, $80,000. He's 19. How the fuck is he owing 80,000? Oh, he delivered his pizza last year. What are you talking about? I said, well, let me go look into it. So I went. I put a nice suit on. I got dressed nice. I think I'm going to, I don't know, Merrill Lynch. What do I know? I walk in the office. Some Ginger Leone. You know what a Ginger Leone is, right? Some big muscle guy comes out like a DDT. I said, I'm looking for the manager. Well, I'm the manager. I said, you're the manager? I said, you know what? I'll be back. I went back the next day, dressed a little differently, and proceeded to get this money that was owed to my friend's son. And I learned that they're doing this pump and dump thing. Well, from that, I said, okay, let me see what the hell's going on here. And I got involved. But I went to the Series 7 class and passed the practice test.
Okay. So you kind of realized it wasn't your normal Wall Street firm. It was have you ever, I don't mean to keep talking about films and movies, but a lot of the stuff you talk about is portrayed in films. Have you ever seen the film Boiler Room?
Oh, yeah.
It's about that, where it's
Michael Douglas, right?
No, that's Wall Street.
Okay. Oh, Boiler Room with yeah. That's exactly what it's like.
Yeah,
that's
so it's even in Sopranos they had an office.
Yeah,
where they
with biscuits. Yeah,
with biscuits. You gotta push with biscuits.
I just watched that episode.
Yeah. So it was a very it was a sleazy kind of place, right? You even thought the manager. There's no way this guy's the manager.
Yeah.
Okay,
gotcha. What they did was they pushed penny stocks. I don't know if you're familiar with this.
Yeah, of course, sure.
That's what they did.
They inflate ththese companies to be very big, and
it was more than that. I mean, they have to back it into a NASDAQ small cap and clean it up and all that other crap.
Yeah,
there's more. It's just not it'll make money. I mean, there's more to it than that.
So, how much did you make? You made a lot of money doing that.
I did pretty well.
Okay, so you were an earner. You were making money. People were happy with you, and this is what I talk about with the mob that I find so interesting is there's a lot of really big personalities, but the guys that keep these families turning are people like you, people that are pushing money up.
Yeah, everybody does that though. Here's the best definition of the mob. You take a wheel.
Yeah, the spokes.
There's a whole bunch of spokes in it.
That's what I always talk about.
There you go.
The spokes and keep the wheel turning. That's exactly how I look at it. 100%.
The problem with the mob is you get a guy that's not a tough guy. They straighten him out, and he thinks he can become a tough guy, and that's where this whole thing just fell apart.
Right.
They started straightening out guys for money.
Guys trying too hard. Right.
It was a mess.
I'm going to ask you about some of those folks in a bit. So you get indicted. How long did you go into federal prison for that stock scam?
My sentence was only 48 months, but I wound up doing almost 10 years.
So it was 4 years essentially. Why did you end up doing 10 years? Did they supersede it? What happened?
No, they kept re-indicting me. What happened was, when Joe Messina went bad, they kept coming to prison where I was at, trying to flip me. I kept refusing. It's in my sentencing memorandum that they tried to do this. We were made it aware. And they promised, they said, well, if you don't help us, we're going to keep reindicting you. And truly they were. The government, their worst. I don't recommend anybody ever cooperate with the government. They superseded me. I with the same crime in 3 different venues. So it just cost me more and more time.
So they were just trying to nickel and dime you and like death by 1,000 paper cuts. They were just trying to hit you, trying to get you to cooperate. Because remember, by that point, mid-2000s, literally everyone in that family had cooperated. Your former, one of your first, kind of people above you, Frank Copa cooperated.
Yeah.
Cantarella, Messino, Vitali, Tartaglione, all these different people cooperate.
In general, yeah, everybody, yeah.
So they're thinking, okay, we can get all these guys to cooperate. Getting Lovaglio will be
But
easy.
they wanted to get Joe Jr. They wanted me to put on Joe Jr. That's what they wanted. And I wouldn't do it.
Right. And Joe Jr. and Joe Sr. were kind of guys. There are a couple of guys that didn't flip, right? They took punishments or whatever happened.
Yep. A lot of guys stood up.
Fair enough.
Joe Sr. being one of them, yeah.
So I want to kind of wrap it back in. So by the mid-2000s, they're trying to get you to flip. You're not. They're nickeling and diming. You end up serving about 10 years. So you get out of prison early 2010s, right?
Yeah, 2010, yeah.
Let me ask you, during your time inside, one of the other thoughts that we have about that world is, they take care of your people. Everybody's good. Were you still earning while you were
inside? One guy took care of me, Joe. That was it.
Camarano was the only guy.
Nobody. He took care. The guy was just listen, people say it about this guy all the time. That he's just this guy they never met. And it's true to form.
Yeah, he is one of the guys I've heard nothing but good things. I don't think I've ever heard a person, even guys I know. I talk to people today.
He would have been the best boss ever in that family.
Yeah, I'm going to ask you about that because that's what's interesting about the time you get out of prison, right? Early 2010s, because there's kind of a power struggle. Vinny Gorgeous is gone. Did you ever meet Vinny Gorgeous, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. How was he?
I just met him briefly at a wedding in Staten Island, so I really don't,
You weren't really.
I'm not familiar with how he was.
So he goes away late 2000s. His pal Mancuso steps in and attempts to wriggle control of the family, which he does. He's kind of the heir apparent to Basciano. And during his time, he goes to prison as well due to that Pizzola hit. Camarano kind of starts polling people. Did he ever come?
I wasn't there for that. I wasn't there for that polling.
You were off the street. But was the thought that Joe was the person that should run this family, not Michael?
Oh, that was the thought of a lot of people.
Okay.
Not only our family.
Others as well.
Yeah.
What families wanted him?
I think everybody was happy. Well, look, I can't talk bad about Mike because I don't know him.
Yeah, you never met him.
I don't know Mike. I never met him. I wish him the best. You know what I mean?
Did you know Sakali?
You don't mean anything bad to anybody. I mean, I wish him the best. I'm only giving you what I know about Joe.
Yeah, no, fair
For
enough.
me, he would have been a great boss.
Did you ever meet Dominic?
No.
You never met Dominic? Okay. So Camarano eventually, and it seems like a lot of people wanted him in. So the thought was he should be boss. And he probably should have. He was very respected, kind of an elder statesman of the group. There was eventually a meeting, right? A sit down. A bunch of people went. It was 2015. He's voted in as acting boss.
Yeah. No, that's not true.
That's not true. Tell me more.
2015, when I was there, you're talking about?
Yeah.
No, he got voted in as official underboss.
So that meeting.
All these stories.
Here's the story, and we'll see what was right and wrong. Supposedly there was a meeting where all the captains got together and voted in Michael.
Well, which one you're talking about? The one in Queens?
Correct. Garage. Yeah.
That was for the underboss position.
Okay, so the boss is Mancuso, underbosses, because that's what they try to tell us, that there was a power struggle. Camarano takes over.
Not true.
Interesting.
Not true.
Because a lot of the power base, you have Badalamenti, you have all these guys are all.
Not true at all.
Okay.
I don't know what happened after I flipped. I don't know what happened after that because I heard stories that like what you're talking about.
Right.
At the meeting I was at, Mike was recognized as the boss, and Joe was officially voted in as the other boss.
Okay.
And all the captains were there and some acting captains.
But I guess my question is was he the person that most people recognized as on the street? Was the
Oh, he was the highest ranking member. Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
yeah,
Okay.
he was the acting boss, but
Do
official.
you think Mancuso and the Bronx people thought, oh, this is a power play to try to?
You know what, Jeff? I can't speak. I don't know. I don't know them. I don't know. All I know is Johnny Joe. I don't believe so.
Okay.
I don't believe so. I think the biggest thing there was because of my trial about their, well, not really Joe's. I think more Porky's lawyer, the way he presented the case. I don't think Mike was happy about, and I was pretty surprised about it myself.
Okay, we'll get into that in a second. One thing we've found in this talk with you so far is that you're not a violent guy, right? You're mostly about making money. Did
Right.
you ever have situations where in your time, and we'll get to the sushi bar incident, but were you someone like when you went into that stock thing, did you say to them, look, you need to give me the money or you're not gonna be happy?
Of course, Jeff. I didn't go there. I mean, at first I tried to negotiate the money. And then when I found out what was going on, I had no choice but to, get a little more boisterous. I'll use boisterous.
Sure, I understand.
Yeah.
One of the things before we get to some of your incidents, I want to ask you about John Spirito Jr., right? This guy here.
Yeah.
He at one point was shelved, right?
Yeah.
What was that about?
Well, allegedly, he was bringing messages back from jail that weren't true.
And he was saying like Michael made me the guy, which wasn't true.
It was like a gang that couldn't shoot straight, Jeff. I just shook my head every day. I shook my head every day. I got so disillusioned in what was going on, I
You just kind of looked at it and said, "How the fuck
is going on, man?
Yeah.
It's just a mess.
It was far from the world that you had been involved with a long time ago.
Oh my God, man! You sat at a table. You didn't say a fucking word till the captain spoke. I mean, oh yeah, these guys.
So eventually, you're released from prison. They make you a captain. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So who?
Joe Bosch. Joe Bosch at the time when I came home, and Vinny TVs was running the street, and they made me a captain. Yeah.
Did you know what that meant? Did you just think, oh, okay, I'm getting more power?
Of course I know what a captain meant. I mean, I was in the life of it.
Yeah, but did you realize, I guess what I'm trying to say is, did you realize the
ground? No, that didn't go. I mean, to me, I guess because I was older, I kind of tried to give the best advice I could that you wanted to take, and we went from there.
Were you happy with the people that were reporting to you? Were they money makers?
No.
No. None of them?
Well, there was one or two, but man, I never took anything. I started taking money at the end, and that's where this whole bit, but it was money that I created. Just no, none of the guys around me were money makers. Let me answer that question.
Were they tough guys?
Somewhat, absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Anybody, like who?
There was some tough guys in the crew.
What about him?
Man, Al was all right. Al, I straightened out. He was around Joe Valet, but Joe Valet never wanted to straighten him out. Always had bad things to say about the kid because he's a real money maker, the kid. And I just I really got to like the guy. You know what I'm saying?
You mentioned you became disillusioned. There were a lot of people in the life that you just like were shaking your head about. Yeah. I spoke to somebody about you, and they told me that there were people that were made under you that you essentially said, how the fuck is this person getting made?
I said that about 15 times.
So you would agree that's kind of where the mob became just a joke, right?
Yeah.
Why do you think they made?
Listen, I can't speak for other families, and I can't speak for the family now. I'm speaking about when I was there, when I came home, the things that were going on.
Why do you think they were so just willing to make anybody? Do you think it just lost its luster?
No, because there was nobody in charge that knew what the fuck they were doing until Joe took it over. That's why.
So you think if Joe was in charge, that none of that
never happened, ever.
Ever. And this is where we talk about.
I don't think it's going to happen with Mike in charge. I'm just saying, in that time frame, it was just a joke.
Right. And electing poor leadership is the downfall of a lot of great countries, right? You
Well,
know,
the leadership was coming through Johnny Joe, so we don't, what the hell do we know?
right?
Allegedly, that's where the leadership was coming through Mike, through Johnny Joe Jr.
Yeah, it was kind of a mess. But I guess to me, like if I'm running, which if we look at the mob like a company, a company that creates itself and works good is when if a person goes to prison, it would probably be in the best interest of the family to elect someone on the street to run the day to day, and everybody's okay with that. That's how I think a normal family would run.
Yeah,
But
they do it different ways. Sometimes you have a panel, sometimes you'll put a street boss together.
okay.
But usually it's the elder statesmen in the family that have some kind of common sense, and I don't know what
It just didn't work. Okay.
it,
So in 2015, one of the things that a lot of people will bring up about you is an incident you had at a sushi restaurant in Staten Island, upscale place, nice place from what I heard.
yeah.
Tell me about that night. You're in there having dinner or something.
No, I wasn't having dinner.
You weren't having dinner. What were you there?
I was with Al, and it was Halloween. And I was actually talking to the owner. I didn't know who he was. I thought he was actually half a gangster. And I turned around, and Al's having a fist fight with 6 guys by the bathroom.
Okay.
And we got in there, we stopped it, whatever the case may be. And it ended. Somebody pissed in the guy's ear, you don't want to fuck with these guys, whatever the case may be. Guy bought me a shot and everything. I said, okay, thank you, no problem. He goes, hey, listen, no problem. No big
So you
deal.
thought it was over?
Yeah, no big deal. As I'm walking out, somebody puts a threat on me. And when we got outside, Al was like, we got to go back in there. I said, let's just, we'll hand this another time. And then with the threat and this kid pissing in my ear, a few guys got called. We went back in there. It ensued again. And that's when this guy got hit with a glass. Of course, I didn't try to blind the guy. Look, it was horrendous. It was heinous. I think about it every goddamn day. I don't know what I could do to ever make it up to this man. I paid with time, but.
So you mentioned a threat. The threat was given by some kid, right?
Yeah, his stepsons.
Yeah, the kid says something along the lines of, whatever.
I'll kill you and your family. I know where you live. I know.
Yeah. So he made a threat. You in turn, with a glass, smash it over somebody's
head, and the glass got into his eye. Yeah.
And he's blinded. And this ended up being an off-duty cop.
Yeah, I had no idea. Let me explain something.
You told me though. Obviously, if you knew it were a cop, you would have never.
I would have shook his hand, thank you for your service, and walked out. He never said that.
Let me ask you about that. So we hear on YouTube all this rat crap and I hate rat, all this stuff. What was your feel on police? Like, you respected them.
Of course, I have no problem with the cops.
They have a job to do.
I want my kids to be protected by cops. What about if they're in the city? If there's a cop, I want them to protect my family. What are you talking about?
Any normal society operates.
It's retarded. Yeah, it's so retarded.
So you just.
I have family that are cops. I mean, what are we talking about?
Right. So this whole fracas just happens. Why him? He was just right there and you hit him?
He made it seem he was the man,
Okay. And it ended up being an off-duty cop.
Wasn't off duty, retired detective.
Oh, he's retired. Okay.
Again,
this
you
ultimately
would have said to me at any point in time, I'm a cop, an ex-cop. Oh, Jesus Christ, I'm so fucking sorry. Thank you for your service, and I'm out of there.
Sure. Yeah.
Just like I'm a military guy. They serve a service. They get killed. They get killed at any day. You can't respect that.
So, and to all you folks that will, you did this to a cop. Again.
I had no idea.
Heat of the moment. It's a situation. It's a sad, terrible situation.
Horrible.
This ultimately got you shelved as a member of the family. Is that true?
I don't know about that, Jeff.
No? Okay. Tell me more.
What got me shelved was I was the kid that cooperated on the case with us. The kid, I forget his name right now. Anyway, he was around us, and he was kind of getting abused by a few guys in the family. I didn't really like it, and I voiced my opinion about it quite a bit. And I started making money with the kid too, so it was a little greedy too. It was a little self-serving also. I'm not going to say it wasn't. And But again, we're not supposed to abuse guys that are around us. And that is what got me shelved.
So we've also heard, and I'm just going to bring this up. You owed money to this guy. Is that
I never
true?
owed him a dime,
Billy Scotty, you didn't owe him any money?
not a penny.
Did someone you represent owe him money?
He owed him $18,000.
Okay. So that's where see, again, this is where things become convoluted. And sometimes you're on the hook for shit other people do. In
No,
this
you're
case,
not on the hook. You're on the hook once you say you're on the hook.
right.
I'm not on the hook till I say
You
I'm
vouched
great.
in a way.
Yeah, I'm not on the hook till I say I'm a great. And I
Right.
never agreed. But he went and told his people that, the money's owed. Technically, I owe it because he's my guy, or I was speaking for him. But there was never a decision yet. And before that decision came about, these other fellows in this my family and somebody else used that to politic to get me shelved. And that's exactly what they did.
So when you become shelved, did he just come to you and say you're out?
Well, you're shelved, that's it. I was okay with it.
You were good with it?
Yeah, I don't give a shit. It was such a mess, I didn't give a shit.
So you were just done.
Yeah, I had enough.
And now remember, you had mentioned us earlier that they had come to try to get you to flip many times. Is that a normal occurrence? They just come to you and try to get you to talk?
I don't know. I don't know if it is, but it happened to me three times.
I want to ask you a question about this whole thing.
Yeah.
This is probably the most talked about subject on this mob YouTube stuff.
What's that?
What's a rat? What's not a rat?
I'm a rat. No.
Yeah, sure. No, I get it. But you told me that you believe on the street today. Tell me what you told me about.
I don't believe it. I know it.
What did you tell me?
Again, secondhand, I know it. I know that I was told that on the street today, there's more confidential informants than there are.
I believe that. And I've said that before. I mean, this whole tale of the way these people live in that no one talks to the police. Listen, you do what you got to do to
I'm not justifying what I did by saying that.
Of course. I know you're not.
There's no justification or I'm not making excuses. I'm just making a statement.
Yeah. You're just saying that, believe me, a lot more people talk to the police than you think. I got you.
Okay.
So how does it all happen? When do you decide you're done? You're out? What were you facing with the bar brawl?
I did every penny of that. I did every dime of that. Listen, my cooperation was self-serving in the beginning, 100 million%. When I got out of jail back in 2010, 11, I had stage 4 head and neck cancer. And I was talking to a few guys in jail because I didn't trust anybody in the street. I only trusted the guys I was away for the last 10 years, right? And they told me they were going to violate me for that. I said, okay. They said, well, we're going to give you 2 years. Well, at that time, the doctors
for talking to people.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't have 2 years to live, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
So they asked me to identify some pictures, which I did. And listen, that's cooperating, no matter how you look at it. Doesn't matter if you fucking say hi. That's cooperating. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. If you say hello, let me sit down. That's it. You're done.
Right.
I don't care if you don't say anything. It doesn't matter. All right. And that's the rule.
So you don't agree with the fact that if as long as you don't put anyone in jail.
Absolutely not.
So again, sitting down with the feds is.
Listen to me. Talking in the back seat on the way to the holding cell is cooperating.
I got
okay?
it. Yeah.
All right. Doesn't matter.
So yeah. So you did ID some pics.
I did. 100%. And it was all stuff they do anyway. But again, no excuse. I'm just
now. Who asked you to do that? The NYPD or
NYPD detective and the FBI? Yeah.
Okay.
So now they assume that I was like just going to keep talking to them forever, which I didn't do. I wouldn't do. I went back to jail. As a matter of fact, I got violated. I went back into jail. The whole works. I didn't reach out to this detective again until the bar incident. That's it. That's the whole
So
story.
at that point, you realize I'm kind of fucked because
I was selfish. Sure, it was all selfish reasons. But I was so disillusioned, Jeff. You got to understand, jail doesn't scare me. I'm not worried about jail.
Yeah, you were in jail.
I went to jail. I would have went and did my time. But what was going on in the street with this mess with the Bonanno family? I was so disillusioned. I said, you know what, fuck this. And I decided to cooperate. Didn't get a dime. I didn't get any benefit from it. So I wasn't cooperating with the feds. It was the state. the feds got involved and asked me to cooperate. I kept saying no.
So during once the bar thing happens, they kind of step in and say, "Okay, you want to speak?" So you end up, you wore a wire, right?
Yeah, on Joe, yeah.
Yeah.
And
let me ask you,
and I had some phone was open. Yeah.
Yeah. The name Joey Molino is big right now on YouTube.
Right.
They try to get you to befriend him too, right?
No, they didn't try to get me there. Oh no, I was friends with Joey. I met him.
How'd you meet Joey?
I met him through some kid I know in Florida.
Do you like him?
Oh yeah, I liked him a lot actually.
You had dinner with him a few times.
I did it with him once.
So they try to say, okay, well then tell us about him, right?
There was nothing to say. He was just a nice guy.
Yeah, it was just a friendship.
Yeah, he was just a good guy. You know.
Okay.
I'm sure he's gonna call me all kinds of rats when he sees this, but it is what it is.
Well, he calls everybody that.
But he's right though. He's not lying.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you on that subject. Yeah.
What he's doing.
So you're saying because he's on YouTube, that's a rat move?
100%. Not a rat move, but certainly not.
What would he? Let me research.
He should be shelved.
Okay, so not that he would care, but let me ask: the tried and true mob guys, like the Camaranos, the guys like that,
yeah,
do they view him as a rat?
I don't know. I believe I was tried and true, but I don't believe I would. Oh, you mean the guys in the street now? Yeah. I don't think they would ever talk to him ever.
Okay. Ever. Yeah, we've heard people say that.
No way.
Okay.
No way. But doesn't make him a bad guy. It just,
Yeah, I got you.
Trying to make money. What are you gonna do? Everyone's trying to make $1,
You mentioned he would call you a rat. I mean, he called Sonny Franzese a rat for communicating with his son Michael. Do you think that's a rat move?
Yeah, that's a line that, it's his son.
Yeah.
I mean, if my son was on in death row, I would back him up. I mean, it's a kid.
But I guess the thought is though, like John Gotti would have killed his son.
Technically, yeah, don't believe all that shit. Technically, yeah. Technically it's a rat move. A rat move.
Not
a rat.
Okay.
And don't believe all that John Gotti would have killed his son shit either.
But you would agree he wouldn't agree with what his son did.
He wouldn't like it,
no. Okay. Let me ask about your cooperation. You wear wire, all that stuff. When the brass tacks came down, Camarano, Porky, a lot of the guys around him were arrested, right?
Yeah.
A lawyer for one of those individuals created a nickname for you.
No, it wasn't the lawyer.
Who created that?
It was Jerry Capici.
Oh, right. Go on that. What did he refer to you as?
Petey bullshit. And what happened was he interviewed somebody that I was close to. And I guess that person was mad at me, whatever the case may be. And somebody in the mob used to call me Petey bullshit because I used to fucking bullshit him all the time. And I did it on purpose, to be honest with you.
You were manipulating him.
No, not so manipulating. It had to do with this whole situation with this other fellow we were talking about that they were abusing. So I used to.
You're talking about Sabella, right?
Yeah. Okay. So I used to fabricate stories because I was earning with the kid. And he would say, "Oh, yeah, boy, he's Petey bullshit," whatever the case.
Yeah, you were kind of manipulating people.
Yeah, kind of. And so a family member or somebody close, whatever the case may be, said, "He's not Pete the Pug, he's Petey bullshit." And that's how they came about. And I was never Pete the Pug. I don't know how I got that either.
So that was a name that you never were called either.
I have no idea how they got that.
What did people call you? Peter?
Just Peter.
Yeah.
Pete from Staten Island, Pete. Petey Cancer.
Petey Cancer, they called you?
Some guys would say that.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That's kind of morbid a bit. It's kind of sad.
It's the mob, Paul.
Yeah. Everybody's got a name. Okay. So tell us about how it all went down. You testified against certain people. Who?
Yeah. I sat on 4 trials. The KZ trial.
Who was it, like Johnny Sideburns them or?
No, that was the bosses.
Okay.
I was only there like as an expert witness. I didn't know them, They talked about an incident we had back in the day. And one of the.
So you kind of come in, they bring you in as kind of like to shed light on certain things and
okay. Identify.
Who did you put in prison though?
or the Bonanno guys.
Come out,
They
Camerano.
copped out. Camerano, no, they beat the trial. Thank God.
Okay, right, that's right.
I'm happy they did. Yeah.
You're happy they did, really?
Joe, yeah. And John. John's all right. John's a good guy.
What would you say to
Very
like
fucking greedy, but he's a good guy.
a lot of people that listen to this? You know, like we dealt with this with Pagan, Hector Pagan. He told us how much he loved, you know, Graziano and that he wouldn't do anything. Then he ultimately cooperated against him. And people will say, like, you've obviously are very high on Camerano. He's a friend, like you respected him a lot.
But I cooperated on him.
Right. So do you get kind of like the hypocrisy of that?
Do I get what?
Do you get that that's kind of a hypocrisy? Like,
That's just hypocritical. Just because, listen, it doesn't mean I didn't like him or respect him. It was a situation I was in that I had to do.
what were you facing? Like was it really
nothing, not a dime.
so this had nothing.
Not
So
one day.
you just decided I don't want to do this anymore. I want out.
I was sick of what was going on. And I believed I was probably going to die in jail with the cancer. And I couldn't get even with some of what went on. Because some vicious shit went on. And unfortunately, when you cooperate with the government, you got to tell them everything.
Yeah.
You have to.
It just happened to be.
It's just the way it is.
Yeah.
So everything they have on me, I gave them.
Right.
Now, people are going to look at this and say, what a piece of shit scumbag. Yeah, I am a piece of shit scumbag. But you know what? I'm living for my family now. My family. My family. Mm-hmm. And I've learned through all of these trials and tribulations with the Mafia that's the only thing that matters and nothing else. So.
Yeah, I mean, and again, to all you folks that say, oh, see, he's dancing around the subject, he just admitted he wasn't facing any jail time. Okay, and he just was done with the life. His real family meant something to him because you have faced death, Peter. You've had cancer for a decade, right?
Yeah, I have it now. I have terminal cancer now.
Right. So you're going to die soon. Yeah. Do you know when? Do you have an idea?
When? No, there's no time frame on it right now. But yeah.
But again, you're facing death. Okay? Yeah. So someday, like all of us, you will meet your maker. However, you're likely to meet it much sooner than us.
Yes.
Probably. So you are at a point where you're going to be damned to be in a life you don't want to be in, and you want to be around the people that matter to you.
Yeah, I want to leave. You know, Jeff, everybody, when you get to my age, you're still a kid. No disrespect to that, but you're young.
No, I'm proud of that. Thank you. You're what, 63?
62. You start thinking about your legacy, you know. And of course, when you're in this life, your legacy is, my legacy, I want to leave my children that maybe I left some kind of good in this world. I don't know if this is it. I don't know what the plans are going forward, but this is certainly a step towards it. And that's how I look at it.
There's something I find really interesting about you. We hear from every single person that comes on YouTube. They're in this for the kids, right? And then they just proceed to tell us how violent they are and how bad they are. What I find interesting about you is you truly are someone that made really one bad decision in your life, and it ended up creating your legacy. You started selling cocaine. You probably, if you had a decent family, do you think you would have, if your mother didn't die and you didn't have a father who wasn't your, do you think you'd be, like, if you had a good father and mother, do you think you'd be in this position?
My mother was great. My mother was an angel.
She doesn't die. Do you think you're in this position?
No.
So you probably, out of all these people, you would be most likely to probably speak to people because you are everyone. Like, it doesn't matter whether you're black, Spanish, Chinese, whatever.
I want to speak on that too, because I've heard people call me racist. And let me explain something.
Really? I've never heard that.
Well, I'm going to show you something.
People called you racist.
Show you. I mean, I have black grandchildren. What are you talking about? I mean,
well, people just say shit. You wouldn't believe what they call me on here.
Yeah,
you know,
I've heard.
It's nonsense. We won't say the word, but yeah, it's I think you're the only person I've ever really heard say create a legacy. You're not you didn't do good things. You're not trying to celebrate any of this shit.
Horrible. I've lived a horrible life. I mean, but I have great
kids.
You know what, Jeff? I have great kids. I have awesome grandchildren. I mean, they're just beautiful, loving, caring, beautiful people. And I hope that I had something to do with that.
Well, you did something right. You're
and
part of it.
that's all I have to live for right now.
You're just trying to get something back for yourself before you go.
That's it. That's what it's all about right now.
Yeah, I have to say, I mean, you're quite you're soft-spoken guy. You definitely have a very interesting life, and this is just kind of the grass notes version of it. I want to ask you, why do you want to talk? Why do you want to do this?
Well, some of my family members are asking me the same thing. They're probably going to be mad at me after this. But again, these stories and the reasons, not that I have to justify, and I'm not trying to justify. It's just that let's get them straight. Let's get them real. And then we can go on from there. Then you could persecute all you want.
So you just want to tell your story.
Huh?
You just wanted to tell your story.
Right. Let's tell the right story, not the fabricated one.
Do you regret your life?
Yes.
A lot?
Yes.
Do you wish you would have just not sold any drugs and just went back to the military and that was that?
Yes, that was my plan. My plan was to go to the Mustang and become a JAG lawyer.
Are you sad of, like, you're an Italian, like you're a guy who contributed to the stereotype of being a mob guy. Are you sad at the portrayal that Italians are? Because most of them are good people. They're just
99% of them are.
Yeah. Like, are you sad that that's the portrayal that is most?
I mean, are the Irish sad that they think that everybody's drunk? Or an Irish drunk?
That's true. Yeah.
Well, that a black guy is always a criminal.
Right.
I mean, it's the same thing. It's the same concept. The same question you're asking me is the same concept, right? I don't know what nationality you are, but I'm sure in that realm of
I'll tell you about it. I'm Albanian, and everybody says.
I mean, you know what they say about Albanians?
You're a human trafficker.
You killed half the Kosovo, right?
Right. Yeah.
So
let me ask you, who's the most dangerous guy you ever met in that life?
Wow. The one that I was most concerned about, or
like a guy that you just got, he just had that aura to him.
Well, there's a lot of them, Jeff.
Name a few.
Well, I mean, Johnny Joe was a serious guy.
The father.
Yeah, but a nice guy, great. I mean, just a heart of gold.
So you just kind of got the feeling, though, if something needed to happen, it could happen.
Yeah, without a doubt. But
you met Tommy Patera, right?
I never met Tommy Patera.
You never met him? Okay.
No, I met Frank Ulino. I met all those other guys, but I never met Tommy Patera. By the time I think he was in jail by the time I was bouncing around, to be honest with you.
Let me ask you, you mentioned Frank Lino. There's a woman on YouTube that dated him. Did you ever meet her?
Yeah, she's an idiot.
You ever meet John Gotti?
I was in a restaurant with him once, but I wasn't buddies with him.
Yeah, you just met him maybe once.
Yeah.
Okay. Who is a guy that you just couldn't believe he was in the life?
We don't have enough of time.
We don't have the time?
Go over all that.
Is there anyone that sticks out, though?
You're going to make me blow up these guys. There's so many of them. I mean, there's just so many.
You're saying that a large majority of the people that are in, let's say, the family today are
should not be there. Absolutely should not be there.
So when we hear about
listen, guys are going to say I shouldn't have been there.
Yeah. Well, listen, you were good.
I came up under some good guys, man. I mean, I was taught the right way,
What do you think? Do you think that's the biggest reason for the downfall of that life, or was it the RICO Act? Was it the cooperating, or was it just the overall quality of people that became?
Well, I mean, listen, the cooperating, of course, goes without it, and the RICO Act, to me, and I believe this wholeheartedly, is unconstitutional. But as far as the cooperating, of course, that puts a dent in it. As far as the watering down,
the quality,
it's like anything else, but. As generations go on, I mean, I got kids walking around with their pants down to their ankles. I mean, You know, things just change. It evolves to get, for the lack of better words, the old zip ways. That's never going to come back. You know, unfortunately, it's too Americanized, and it's American Mafia. Isn't that crazy?
And that's the issue too. I mean, you don't have the Carlo Gambino types, and they're just not. They're not around anymore. You know?
Yeah, they're in Sicily.
Yeah, and that's the society. That's just how society is now.
Yeah. You know,
Okay.
listen, Mafia is always going to be there. It's just a lot different.
Sure. That makes sense. I got 2 more questions for you, and then we'll wrap up. Again, we don't know what the future is with you. Maybe we'll see you again. You know, as I said, I think you're a guy that has a really interesting story, a really interesting view on things, and you know, you've met a lot of people over the years, which is interesting. I want to throw a couple of photos on the screen. I want to just get your first opinion of these people. Let's go with this guy. Did you ever meet him?
Yeah, I know Ronnie very well.
You like him?
Yeah, tough kid. A little crazy with his house, but tough kid.
so you when he built that, what was your first thought?
Yeah.
You thought,
boy, oh boy.
It was nice though, right?
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. But I mean, you big earner, tough kid. Seriously.
But it's hard to justify because
That's crazy.
You don't have a job per se, you know?
Yeah, but good guy. I liked him. I like Ronnie a lot.
Did you know him?
Yeah.
Fat Tony Rubito.
Yeah, Rubito.
Was he an old school? He was an old school.
Old school guy. Back in the day.
Never flipped.
Nah. Lived in the same little apartment in Greenpoint.
His whole life.
Yeah.
Was he married or anything?
I don't believe so, no.
So he was just tried and true. That was all his life was.
Yeah, good guy.
Do you think mob guys that are like that? I did a video recently on a guy, Dom Chafalu, right? Gambino guy, lives with his mom.
Quiet down.
Quiet down, yeah. Or no, that's
not Quiet down.
This guy's a Sicilian.
Yeah, from the Gambino guys.
Yeah, 18th Avenue. Yeah. He lived with his mom his whole life. Very quiet guy. You look at a guy like him or Tony, you know, they're like regular people. Do you wonder, isn't the mob to make a bunch of money and be super
okay, again, TV.
We go from Rubito to Ronnie G, 2 totally different people.
Oh, but we just gave that explanation. It's a watered down generation.
Okay.
We just gave the explanation of why that happened.
Right.
What do you think the next generation is going to be like? They'll be playing hip hop and sit downs. And what are we doing here?
Well, this is why I've said in 20 years, I don't think the mob will be around anymore. I don't know how.
That. I don't know, but they've been saying that for 100 years. So I think it'll probably get watered down a lot.
Yeah.
It'll never disappear because there's too much money involved.
Sure.
What
about, did you ever meet this guy?
No. Oh, yeah, once.
What did you think of him?
I got introduced to him. I don't know him well. I got introduced to him once.
Okay.
But
you knew him, sideburns, right?
Yeah. That's a very good picture of him, actually. He don't look like that now.
So he doesn't exactly look like that. He actually looks kind of normal here. He's probably a bit younger. So you like sideburns?
Yeah, John's a nice guy. He's a good guy. There's not many guys I didn't like. I mean, if I didn't like him, I'll tell you. I have no problem with that.
Who did you just fucking hate?
Joe Valet, I wrote to hate.
Joe Valet.
Yeah.
He's still around.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, he'll never come back. He'll stay in South Carolina. He'll never fucking come back.
Gotcha. All right. Well, listen, Peter, we could go on. I'm sure you and I could talk for a while. We could talk about this guy and about that guy. But you are just someone who I just find really interesting. I wanted to get you on to kind of right some wrongs. And like I said, you did not initially want to do this.
You've been breaking my chops for a little bit now.
Yeah. I asked you, I said, hey, it's just telling your story. And still, I mean, I'm the only one seeing you. When we put this out, no one's going to see what you look like where you are. You're somewhere in America, right?
I'm somewhere in America, yeah.
I want to end with this. We've spent the last hour talking about the general watered down version of what the mob is. People will ask, so I'm going to ask, why don't you want people to see who you are?
I mean, listen, there's a lot of reasons for that. First of all, I'm never going to be back into that genre world again. And I cooperated.
You just don't want people to know where you
I
are.
don't want, it's first, it's none of their business. It's
Mhm.
not like I'm hiding. I am somewhere in America. I'm not close. I'm
Somewhere.
far enough away.
Okay.
And it's just, Jeff, it took a lot for me to do this.
Oh yeah, I know it did.
A lot of my family didn't want me to do this.
Yeah.
But you know what? I decided I just want, like my family said to me, like, what's it going to get you? What's it going to get you? And I don't know. It's not going to get me anything.
Maybe it will, though. You never know. I told you. You never know. I mean, I've learned people in this world, they just like stories and like hearing from people that they find interesting. And sometimes people are hits, sometimes people aren't hits. But
I hear you.
Soft-spoken, Last question, I promise. What do you think of YouTube? Do you watch any of it?
I watch you.
Okay, thanks.
I do. Well, because my kids got me into this shit. You know what I mean? But
do you like any of the mob creators?
I think you do a fair job. I think you get some things wrong, which is okay because that's normal. But
I'm talking about the guys that were in the life. Do you watch any of them?
No, I watched Dominic once or twice. I mean, he's a good guy. I even emailed him once, I believe.
Okay.
Do
you watch Sammy or anything?
No, fuck no way. No, I would watch Mike though.
Frenzies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I'm intrigued with him. He intrigues me.
Yeah. Well, listen, a lot of people clowning him, but he's a brilliant guy.
It's an amazing story.
Yeah. Generational wealth, too.
Yeah. But he intrigues me because, how young he was and how successful. We can go into that.
Yeah, he made a shit ton of money for sure. Well, listen, Peter Lovaglio, I really appreciate speaking to you. You're a really interesting guy. I'm glad you decided to come on and chat with me for a little bit. I'd love to see you again. I'd love to have you on again. And maybe down the road we can grow this up a little bit. Maybe have you on again and do something in the future.
All right.
We don't have to plug anything because there's nothing for you to plug. Real quick with your diagnosis, how do you live every day? You're just
day at a time, kid.
Yeah, that's all you can do, right? Well, cool. I appreciate it.
I look forward to just speaking to my children every day. Once in a while seeing them, which is okay. That's how it's got to be for now. And it's okay. I'm all right. All right.
Do you live in Goodfellas? They say Henry at the end talks about how he's just a regular guy now. There's no action anymore.
I always thought I was always a regular guy, just a regular guy in the mall.
Fair enough. That's what then it doesn't matter much, huh?
No.
All right, Peter. Well, thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. I really enjoyed this, and maybe we'll talk to you again soon.
Okay, Jeff.
Thank you.